Hi everyone, I'm Courtney Dollywall. I'm one of the co-owners of the Cheese Mongers Fromagerie, and my team and I were responsible for supplying your little cheese boxes that you're enjoying this evening. So firstly, I wanted to thank the Innover Group for asking us to provide the food for your evening. We really hope you're all enjoying it. It was really fun to plan, and this is a really fun little video for me to shoot. So I hope I can get you some interesting information in the next few minutes. So firstly, a little bit about us. We've been around for the past 5 years, and what sets the cheese that we sell here at the Cheese Mongers apart from what you might see elsewhere is firstly the way we source our cheese. So we have a 2 degree of separation rule here, which means that either myself or my business partner has either met the cheesemaker, been to the facility, and have an intimate knowledge of how that operation works ourselves, or one of our colleagues, a close colleague in the industry, would have done the same thing. And we do a lot of information sharing that way because unfortunately we can't spend all our days traveling the world trying cheese and visiting cheesemakers, as nice as that would be. So we choose our cheese with a focus on things like the use of really healthy milk, responsible animal husbandry, a focus on sustainability and responsible environmental practices. We also try and work with makers who make either exclusively or mostly artisanal cheese. And I know the word artisanal gets thrown out a lot these days, but what that really means in our industry at its core is that the farmers and the cheesemakers are first of all using the best quality milk they can get their hands on, and they're doing the least amount of manipulation to that milk to be able to make their cheese. So whereas a lot of cheeses, and they might have the same name and they might look the same, and is one manchego the same as another? No. An artisanal manchego, like the one we sell, means that the farmer is going to take that milk and they are going to create that cheese with the milk that they have, and they're not always looking for the same outcome. So the wheel of manchego that you get from some of these farmers might be different every time. It could be different based on seasonality. It could be different based on what the animal eats. Whereas a lot of other cheesemakers are looking for the same consistent product all the time. So there's a lot more manipulation that happens within the product. Also, a lot of the cheeses that we make are either exclusively made by hand, or at the bare minimum, there is human intervention at every step along the way. So although obviously our cheesemakers use tools and they use machines, and they are not adverse to technology, they still have a hand in it. It's not a person walking in, pushing a button, programming a computer, and then cheese is made on a conveyor belt. There is a very strong human presence at every step along the way. And we feel really strongly that that is part of what makes such great cheese. We hope you can taste the difference in the cheeses you get today. So what I'm going to do is just do a quick little walkthrough of the cheeses you have in your box. If you have decided to set yourself up a nice little cheese board, your slate board actually comes out of the wooden box. We've brought those in from Spain. So the wooden portion is, it's all food safe, and you're very most likely going to be eating off of it today. But for future, just take that slate piece out, hand wash it all the time. Unfortunately, it's not dishwasher recommended. And you've got a nice, beautiful little reusable slate board that you can use. So if you set yourself up a cheese board, or perhaps you've just taken some pieces of your cheeses and put them on a plate like I've done for myself here, you're going to want to taste them in a particular order. And the reason for that is you're going to want to taste your cheeses mildest to strongest. So the first cheese that you're going to taste this evening is the little crottin à ma manière. So this guy here is from L'Atelier Fromager in Warwick, Quebec. It's a fresh, surface-ripened goat's milk cheese. What I really love about this guy, and what is really special about this guy, and I hope you can all appreciate, is this is made entirely by hand. So this particular cheesemaker makes all of it by hand. They stir and heat the milk over a massive copper vat by hand at every step along the way. Even when we receive it, it's very obvious that it's all been packaged by hand, and it's a little bit precarious to ship, so I hope everybody got theirs in good condition. But nonetheless, the flavor will be wonderful. So what I love about this and the other goat milk cheese that we've chosen to put on your board this evening, which is the Lindsay cheddar, and you'll taste the Crottin first and then the Lindsay cheddar second. I thought it would be really fun for you guys to contrast two different goat cheeses, one after the other, because they are two completely different expressions of a goat's cheese, of a chef. So goats are known for eating anything. They're sort of the carburetors of the dairy animal world. They've got really strong stomachs. So whereas cows and sheep are going to be a lot more particular about what they eat, goats will eat thorny grasses and brambles and all those things that the other animals might avoid. And that very often shows through in the cheese that you get. So with the Crottin et Marminière, their goats have a lot of freedom to roam. They're mostly free roaming. And so they will eat a variety of whatever they find, all very high quality stuff. Of course, they're controlling where their goats are. So they're eating still very, very high quality grasses and herbs and things like that, shrubs. But they have free reign over what they eat. So every batch we get of this tastes a little bit different. With Lindsay cheddar, they are a little bit more particular. Their goats are still free roaming, but they specifically plant grasses and shrubs and things to sort of control the flavor of their cheese a little bit more. So whereas with the Chèvre Marminière, it's going to be a little bit more wild tasting, the Lindsay is going to be a lot more mild. Also, part of that is because the Lindsay is aged longer, so the flavor has a chance to mellow a little bit. The next cheese, the third cheese that you're going to taste, is one of my favorites. This is Le Bercail from Fromagerie La Moutonnière in Quebec. These producers are Farmstead cheesemakers. So if you hear the word Farmstead, what that means is the sheep are kept, the milk is collected, and the cheese is made all on the same property, all on the same farm. So that entire operation, right from the animals grazing to when the cheese is shipped out and we receive it, all happens on one farm, one property. And the motto of this cheesemaker in particular is happy sheep, great cheese. So their big focus is on making sure that their sheep have the freedom to eat a variety of really, really tasty flowers and herbs and bushes. So they plant upwards of 17 varieties of different plants each year, maintain those for the sheep, and the sheep are free to graze as they want. They drink spring water, fresh spring water, and they have a lot of freedom. So they get to choose when they're milked, when they eat, when and where they sleep. They basically just have a lot of freedoms that I think we all sort of wish we had in our day-to-day jobs. Sheep's milk is super, super, super rich, so much higher in fat and protein than cows and goats. So sheep's milk is approximately 7.6% butter fat, whereas with cow and goat, it's closer to 3.6 and 3.4% butter fat, around there. Which means that you'll notice when sheep's milk gets to room temperature, it gets almost a little bit oily, super, super, super creamy. This cheese is great because it has a little bit of a sort of a wild, funky note on the nose, on the aroma. That's because it's a washed-rind cheese. So all those cheeses that you see that have an orange sticky rind, those are cheeses that have been washed as they age, which means sometimes that's being washed with beer or another spirit. Sometimes it's a saline or a brine solution. With this one in particular, it's a brine that they use to wash it. And so the more you wash it, the higher the humidity level remains in the cheese, and the funkier your aroma on the rind is going to be as you eat it. But so you get a lot of notes of sort of dry hay, and that kind of funky note on the rind. It's almost a little barny, we like to say, which I love. But the flavor is just so creamy and very savory, very umami. It can be very salty. Can almost be like a bit like bacon and eggs sometimes. But again, very dependent on the season and what the sheep have been eating and grazing upon. So wheel to wheel, huge variations there, but always good. The last cheese is something really special. So this is a staff favorite for sure. And I would say probably has a bit of a cult following, your Moliterno al Tartufo. This is the most expensive cheese we sell in the store. It's another sheep's milk cheese. This is a sheep's milk pecorino from Sicily. It is made as a pecorino, aged for 3 months. And while it's being aged, it's washed with balsamic vinegar and olive oil collected locally from the region. Once the cheese is aged for 3 months and has a chance to develop all of the flavors of a traditional pecorino, the cheesemaker goes in and actually injects black truffle paste right into the cheese. So instead of getting an all-over truffle flavor, as you might when you've got little specks of truffle throughout, you really get the dichotomy and the difference of the pecorino itself, and then the black summer truffle paste there. So really special, and hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And I would look forward to seeing all of you in the store when you're in the neighborhood. Take care.